It's kind of like a ongoing thing, and that being stressful and hard to deal with situations.
Okay. Tell me about that. What's been ongoing that you feel like you've been struggling with?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. It's hard to answer the question, um, and it be a short answer.
It doesn't have to be.
Well, I mean, it's like I'm trying to think of where I should start. So, hmm,
We
I,
can start kind of more basic to kind of get some history, so I know kind of where you're coming from in terms of treatment in the past. Um, do you see a counselor or a psychiatrist or any outpatient providers like that right now?
no, no, I don't.
Okay. Have you ever been connected to any mental health providers in the past or been diagnosed with any mental health issues?
No, I've never been diagnosed, but I have talked to a counselor once before at a point
Okay.
in time about maybe 7 years ago where I was feeling, um, I guess, a little more uneasy than I feel now.
Okay. What was
And
going on at that time?
I mean, just a lot of death, a lot of suppression of um, feelings around the deaths.
Okay.
A lot of childhood situations that seem to bubble up when the deaths are happening. Not a lot of
Gotcha.
conversation about the childhood stuff that seems to be affecting myself and the people around me, like family members, cousins, friends. And then me seeing myself as an artist my entire life, drawing a lot,
Okay.
taking a lot of pictures, and finding it hard for me in direct proximity to a lot of relationships that don't really seem to um, manage the feelings in a way that are productive for me to manage the feelings. I mean, the simplest way I can say it is me being a creative, since I was a child, my entire life, my full career, um,
Okay.
and like not on the side, kind of like 5 days a week, starting as a child to, 5 days a week as a 40-year-old.
Mhm.
The stuff feels better for me when it's out. The
Okay.
conversations or the feelings are shared, um, which seem to cause conflict when I'm thinking that the people around me, you know, are it's better for them if the stuff is in. They keeping it in. That kind of
Okay.
causes me to kind of try to be okay, not really being around, some of the people in really close personal relationships because I find myself thinking about the situations that may have occurred when I was a child or situations that may have occurred to some of these people around me when we were children.
Mhm.
And me not really wanting to choose to keep those thoughts and feelings in. So, I mean, I kind
Sure.
of write a lot, take pictures a lot, play my instruments a lot, ride my bike a lot, walk my dog a lot. And sometimes when like in a situation like now, dealing with some few deaths in the last month, dealing with the passing of my father a year and a half ago, and my
I'm
cousin,
so sorry.
like 2 years, almost is coming up on 2 years. You know, it's work that I do creatively to help me not hold those feelings in, but recognizing that sometimes I perceive myself as being a little bit much for some of the close relationships around me when I'm talking about the things that I'm perceiving that they don't want to talk about. So
Okay.
when I'm dealing with some of the stuff creatively, there's not a lot of resolution, you know, I guess, mentally and emotionally. And then it's me trying to find different ways to express those things without infringing on anyone else's privacy.
Okay. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
What ways has it affected your relationships? Like,
Well,
yeah,
it's
I
weird.
hear you saying that it sounds
It
like people just aren't comfortable in the way that you're so openly talking about things or maybe bringing things up so often. But how have you seen that like negatively affect relationships? Are they just blocking you out or what's happening?
well, no, I think what seems to be happening, and based on a couple of those people, like at a moment like this, and what I mean a moment like this, and I mean it's a little more obvious that the stuff is affecting me being kept in. A few of these people are sharing with me that ultimately what I'm talking about is triggering what they don't want to talk about, even though I'm not talking about the situation. But me being very open about talking about my feelings, because I guess I felt like when this happened to me years ago, that was the first time I realized that I wasn't talking about those feelings. So I've been trying to do better at talking about how I'm feeling, even though I'm not talking about the specific situations that I may have been in or one of these close people may have been in. It's what I'm saying is reminding them of that. And then it's making me not want to make them feel bad or worse or forced to have to digest being kind of triggered by me speaking freely about my own personal feelings, not even the experiences. It's more about the feelings that I talk about, um, and it's very isolating. It just makes me
Right.
kind of like, well, I understand to whatever extent that I can. So I guess me trying to accept um, distance, and it's not like people are walking away from me, and it's not like I'm walking away from anybody. It seems to be kind of all intertwined. I mean, and when I say people close to me, I'm talking about a lot of people. I mean, if I was in a room with the 50 closest people to me, I would be in that room ultimately picturing, 10 different things that I know that are negatively affecting them and myself when I'm looking at everybody. And
Is this?
yeah,
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I lost where it'll go. It'll come back.
Okay. Is this something that you feel like you struggle with all the time, or has it just been recently?
I feel like, hmm, how to explain it. I feel like what I recognize is constant unless there's a specific thing that I'm partaking in with these people. Like if we doing something, I ain't thinking about it. If we kind of sitting around doing what I would consider nothing, like hanging out, I'm thinking about it. If I'm watching how I perceive people coping with these things, I'm thinking about it because I'm not having the same kind of experience um, with how to cope.
Have the issues in your relationships kind of been ongoing as well then, since you talked to the counselor that last time, or has it
Well, the relationships seem to be uncomfortably getting stronger. My discomfort, I guess, maybe in being rejected for kind of being the one making people think about the stuff that they don't want to think about. And then the discomfort being the people who are experiencing these things. Well, it kind of turns into the conversations, or at least in the direction of where it's more comfortable for me, which is to talk about some of the things. So that's why I say uncomfortably, um, like progressive, or like they're getting stronger, but it's like they are being challenged simultaneously.
Okay, gotcha. Can you tell me a little more, if you don't mind, about what's been happening recently in terms of like the close deaths and what losses you're talking about recently?
Yeah, I got a cousin and kind of like a sister-in-law, um, that both passed recently, very unexpectedly, and in a couple days time. And
Okay.
the cousin, her proximity is very close to my father because it's my dad's twin sister's daughter.
Okay.
um I have a lot of resolved issues with my father that seem to be triggered when I recognize the relationship I have with my father's side of the family.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then,
So the fact that it was somebody so close to your dad was kind of extra triggering then.
well, the fact that I didn't have a really strong relationship with the person who passed. And when I look at her and think about her, I think about my dad. Or when I see my aunt, I think about my dad. That's the part that's triggering.
Okay.
In actually kind of having some feelings towards, not knowing her, my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so that's that with my cousin. Kind of with my sister in law is more like um, how to explain that situation? It's more like watching how what happened with her is affecting my wife's brother has me
Okay.
alert to how it could be affecting my wife, and me thinking back on my interaction with the entire situation that's unfolded in about the last month. I'm seeing how I am engaging more with my wife's brother in an effort to help my wife be okay. So in turn, I can be okay. But recognizing that it's not helping me be okay the way that I'm engaging with my wife's brother, even though I find comfort in how I'm engaging with my wife's brother because it's very familiar to how I engage with my father, and also how I engage with my cousin, who I haven't talked about, who's my boy cousin, who passed around the time my dad did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
it's a separate cousin from the one that passed recently.
right. So I got 2019 two deaths, a month ago two deaths. And ultimately my cousin who passed in 2019 is like,
I'm sorry. Take your time. I know this is tough. I mean, you're mentioning a lot of people, so
he
it's got to be difficult.
I mean, he was the closest person to me, with the exception of my mom and my brother
Okay.
and my wife. I kind of,
Gotcha. So sorry. You're right. That's a lot of people to be losing so close together.
I kind of, I recognize that that I restructured my life when I was about 28 years old, to make sure that I didn't come in town from living out of town to my cousin's funeral. So I moved back when I was 28, which is 2008, to make sure that I was good with our relationship, because it's the longest relationship it's the longest relationship that I had, with the exception of my mom and my dad, where I could be completely myself. And if I'm really being honest, I could completely be myself with him more than I could be completely myself with anybody else. So
Okay. I can see why that would be such a huge loss.
how I'm feeling about him, I know would be a whole lot for everybody around me to really know. So I just kind of keep it to myself, and then I kind of make stuff, and then I share it with everybody so they can get a little peek at how bad it hurt.
Yeah.
And then the relationships that's intertwined with the relationship with my cousin don't seem to be strong enough to take losing them. So everybody disconnected at a point in time where I need to be close to everybody, is why I knew I needed to be here in Cleveland and not out of town.
Okay.
So, yeah, is that.
So do you feel like now, because these recent losses and opening up, that's just made some people concerned, like seeing how much that you've hurt in the past or are currently, or like if this is something or a side of you they haven't seen before?
No, it's a side of me that they've seen before, but not
Okay.
the way. How to explain it? It's I'm really good at not letting people see it. This side of me, who I don't feel like I'm completely comfortable with, not knowing if I can trust how they'll respond. So I kind of am really, really good at kind of keeping it to myself and kind of openly, vividly sharing and communicating to like a small group of people who know, the all the sides of me, for lack of a way to explain that. I got my school friends, I got my cousins, I got my closest friends, and then those closest friends kind of tend to overlap, where my closest friends was my school friends, and they participated with my family situations, which meant
So
Huh?
Sorry, who are your people that are like your top support? Like the ones that you can trust and you feel like you can be totally yourself and open with?
You mean to name them?
Well, just like their relationships to you. Like, is it close friends or is it specific family members?
It's all the above.
Okay.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
couple family members, couple friends, couple college friends, couple childhood friends, couple, you know, adult friends. Yeah.